So welcome again to this YouTube thing. I hope today will be less cringe than the other day. I'm not sure, and I don't guarantee this, of course. We had also a change in location today, and we are in the library, not anymore in the department, because it's fall break and the department is closed, basically. And this was the only spot that I found that I could book. And so today, another very, very, very important topic. Uh, Nothing too specific. It's probably a topic that you have heard too much out there. It's not just a political topic or a topic in political science, but it's, I mean, if you are live in the world, so this is just the basic assumption, just living means that you have heard at least once the word political polarization, or the people say, oh, we are polarized, left and right don't want to compromise anymore, and the parties are becoming so extremist, and the voters are becoming so extremist as well. And we are here to make clear, really clear, and settle the issue. So what is political polarization? um, is not just a slogan, is not just a buzzy word. It's a political concept that has a rationale behind. And today we are here to talk about what is political polarization. So, political polarization is a word that is used to describe how voters' preferences about political issues are distributed within a society. And of course, if we are talking today about political polarization, this means that in the past, the assumption is that in the past we were not as polarized as we are today, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be so huge political polarization today. And the idea is that the distribution of preferences within a society, or how political parties decide to organize themselves around particular issues, has changed relatively to the past. And so it's very useful, helpful to see, so to draw how the distribution of preferences has changed over time. And this is what I have done here. So we can start with a situation like in the past, so before we were talking about political polarization. And the idea is that in the past, there was no polarization because the two parties and also the voters were okay to compromise. So we can think about a society where the distribution of preferences is clustered in this way. So voters' preferences are pretty centrist. Notice that it doesn't mean centrist uh, as you may think about being centrist politically, but means only centrist relatively to other positions. Okay, so we think that in the past or before polarization, preferences of a society of voters were more in the middle. So here we can think about before polarization. We can think of the preferences in a society organized as in a normal distribution. These statistics, but I mean, I don't know much about statistics, and I can understand you, so you can as well, of course. Uh, uh, in a normal distribution, we have the majority of the votes are in the center, and those votes are those which decide whether the election will be won by one party or another. So given this distribution, so given that here we have the majority of the votes and the majority which splits which decide, which are decisive for the election, we have that the two parties. So if we think that here we have the left party and here we have the right party, or the right, left, yes, left and right. This is the hand which I use to write. So this is right. This means that given that we have all the votes here, the two parties both parties want to converge to the center, because given that here we have the majority of the votes, it is not useful for the parties to win if they take a position which is very extremist, because if the party on the right decides to say no to immigration at all, while the majority of the population and those votes which decide which party will win are in the center, so they say no, we want some immigration, and but not too much. It's it's useful for them to converge to the median. So in a situation where we have the distribution of preferences like this, moderate between the two positions, it's useful for both parties to converge to the center, because staying at the margin, staying at the extremes, it's not useful. They will not win this amount of vote. And at the same time, when they are converging, they are not losing their extreme wings. Because if I am in the party on the right and I decide to converge to the center, these supporters, the supporters on the wings of the distribution, on the extremes of the distribution, will anyways vote for me. They for sure will not vote for the other party, because relatively the other party is far away than their position. So extremist right person will never vote for the left if the right party even if the right party converges more to the median. Okay, so this is the reason behind. So therefore, before polarization, the idea is that the distribution of voter preferences were in the middle. Okay, not center, not an absolute center, but in the middle between two positions, and parties had an incentive to converge to the middle, to converge to the center, because here is where the majority of the votes lies. So what happens with polarization is that we are not anymore in a normal distribution of preferences, so where preferences are clustered around the median, but we have a bimodal distribution of preferences, which means voters' preferences um, about policy, immigration, economics, civil rights, or whatever, do not cluster around the center, but cluster around two extremes. And for example, they cluster around the left and they cluster around the right. And this is polarization. Polarization is this particular description of the distribution of preferences of voters within a society. And the problem that we have here is that we have two modes, and which do not coincide with neither the median and neither the mean. Again, we are not interested in the mean at all, but we are more interested in the modes and the median. So we have two modes, and probably, yes, we have, which are relatively equal, and the median is not anymore in the center. Probably it may be here, or it may be here, or it may be here. But the idea is that given that the median is not in the center anymore, the two parties, and the mode is not in the center anymore, the two parties, in respect to differently than before, have not an incentive to converge to the median, because if they converge here, they are not getting anymore all these amounts of vote. And also in the media, in the middle, there are not so many votes that you think, okay, it's worth it to move at the center. Here the parties have a very large platform. Both of them have a very large platform, and they cash in from this platform. They have no incentives to converge here, because the majority of the preferences within the society are at the extremes. So this is polarization. again, it's not a slogan, it's the description of a distribution of preferences where the preferences of voters, and therefore also the preferences of political parties, are clustered around extremes. And so the party on the left and the party on the right are not going to converge, whatever. They are not going to compromise. It's not useful. They have no benefit to compromise, to converge to the center. um, to converge to the center, and this is a bimodal distribution of preferences. Usually this distribution is not good news. um, this usually this distribution of preferences is associated with political instability, while this in the literature, while the normal distribution is associated with political stability. And this is the not good news is that historically a bimodal distribution of preferences predicted something like revolutions, something like the French Revolution. There are some paper about this, and it seems it's not good news. I think yes. So yes, basically this is political polarization. It's not a slogan, again, is clearly the description of how preferences about policy and about politics and about parties are distributed within a society. And that's it. I hope this was interesting. I really don't know how now to finish these videos, so I will on this note I will now stop the video.